You know what's wild? I was talking to a client last week and who told me, Michelle, I am literally everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, my podcast, my email list. I am showing up constantly. And then she said something that made my heart sink a little, but no one is buying. And here's what I realized in that conversation and what we are diving into today. Being seen and being remembered are two completely different things. And in 2026, if people can't remember what you're about when they need you, all that showing up is not even going to matter. So today I'm going to be breaking down the show up shortcut. And trust me, this is going to change how you think about your entire content strategy. So stay tuned. Hey there, welcome back to the show. I am Michelle Fernandez, and if this is your first time here, welcome. You are in the right place if you are ready to grow your business without burning yourself out. This is episode 312, and we are talking about something that I am seeing everywhere right now. People are doing all the things in their marketing and still feeling like they're invisible. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's not because they are not working hard enough. It's because there's a gap between visibility and memory. And that gap, that is what's costing you sales. So let's fix that today. Okay, let me paint this picture for you. Think about the last time someone said to you, OMG, I seem seeing you everywhere, right? Most people hear that and think, I'm nailing it. I'm consistent. I'm showing up. Let me give myself a pat on the back, right? And look, I am not saying consistency does not matter, right? Because it absolutely does. Here's the thing I need you to really hear. Just because someone sees you doesn't mean that they will remember you. Let me say that again. Just because someone sees you doesn't mean that they're going to remember you. And if they don't remember you when they need help, all of that content that you created, it's doing work without actually working for you. So I see this constantly with my clients. They come to me and they're like, Michelle, I'm doing all the things. I'm posting, I'm showing up, I'm being consistent, right? And I ask them one question. What do you want to be remembered for? And then there's this pause. That pause, that is the problem that we're solving today. Because visibility is just exposure. It's being seen. But memory is association. If your audience can't quickly answer these three questions about you, which is who you are, what do you help with, and why should I come back to you, then your content is just noise. It's not building anything. And I definitely do not want that for you. So let's talk about what being everywhere actually means in practice. Because I think when we really break this down, you're going to see yourself in this, and that's okay, Because we're going to fix this. Being everywhere usually looks like, let's say on your Instagram content changes, right? So you change your themes every week, maybe every month, right? Like 1 week you're talking about mindset. The next week you're talking about sales strategy. Then you're talking about posting. Maybe you're posting about your morning routine. And then suddenly you're sharing AI tools. And there's nothing wrong with any of that individually. But collectively, there's no through line. There's no connective tissue. Or maybe showing up looks like this. You have a podcast episode about mindset. Then the next one is about funnels. Then trauma healing, then AI, then back to sales. Again, valuable topics, but your audience is like, wait, who is she? What does she actually do? Or maybe your emails feel totally disconnected from what you just posted on social. People are following you. They might even like you. They might binge your content, but when it's time to buy, they're not thinking of you. Why? Because they recognize your face, but they don't understand your role in their life. That is the missing piece. All right, so let's flip this. Let's talk about what being memorable actually looks like. Because here's what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that you have to go viral. It doesn't mean that you have to be loud, right? It doesn't mean you have to jump on every single trend. It doesn't mean that you have to be posting constantly. Being memorable means that you're predictable in the best way possible. So let me break this down with some real examples, okay? The first one is the repeated problem lens. A memorable brand talks about different things through the same lens. So here's what this looks like in practice, okay? So I'm going to give you an example, and then I want you to be able to think of yourself and your business or your brand in these words, okay? So I don't want you to come from this. This is what I see a lot in coaching groups where it's like, you're giving me this example, but I'm in this type of business, right? I want you to really hear what I'm saying and then say, okay, how am I going to make this work for my business? Okay. So here's how it is in practice. One day you're talking about content creation. Another day you're talking about sales. And another day, let's say you're talking about burnout. But the same lens is always the same. So for me, everything I talk about comes back to the 1% conversion effect. That is my lens. So whether I'm talking about funnels, ads, maybe emails or offers, pricing, it all comes back to how do we make tiny tweaks that compound into massive results? That's my thing, right? That's what people remember about me. So when someone's in their business thinking, hey, I don't want to do like this entire overhaul of everything again, they think of me. When they're tired of gurus telling them to burn it all down and start over, they think of me, right? That's the power of a repeated lens. Your audience starts thinking, oh, she's the one who always brings it back to systems, right? He's the one who always connects everything to positioning, right? That is memory. Okay, the second example is familiar entry points, okay? So here is another way to be memorable. You give people familiar entry points into your world. So what does that mean, actually, right? It means someone can jump into your content at any point and still can get oriented. They're not lost. They know where they are. So instead of saying, here's a random tip today, here's another strategy, here's something I saw, right? You're using anchor phrases like, this is one of those 1% moments, right? Or maybe this is where most funnels quietly leak revenue. This is a classic example of showing up without compounding, right? So do you see how that works with my example of the 1% conversion effect? Those phrases act like signposts, right? They orient people. Your audience just doesn't hear content. They recognize you inside the content. And that's what builds memory. Okay. The third example is the same message, but different angles. So memorable brands repeat themselves a lot. And I don't know about you, when I get into it, even now, sometimes I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I feel like I just said that, right? Repetition is key, right? That's what makes you remember things, okay? But it doesn't feel repetitive to the audience. Why? Because they're saying the same core message through different angles, right? So we're talking about stories. Maybe you're saying things through client examples. Maybe you're giving them different scenarios, right? Or maybe different business stages. So think about it like this. You don't remember someone because they said something once. You remember them because they've said it enough times in enough different ways that it finally clicked, right? Like the light bulb went off. This is what you're going for. So I talk about the 1% conversion effect constantly. It's in my podcast, it's in my emails, my posts, my client calls, my sales pages. But I'm not just saying the same thing over and over. I am showing you what it looks like for a course creator versus a service provider. I am showing you what it looks like in ads versus organic content, right? I am showing you what it looks like when you're just starting versus when you're scaling to 7 figures and beyond. Same core message, different angles. And that's what makes it stick. Okay. So here is why this matters so freaking much, okay? When someone encounters you multiple times and each time it reinforces the same idea, their brain does the work for you. This is that compounding effect that I'm always talking about. So instead of thinking, should I hire her for this? Right? They think, oh, her, obviously, right? Obby, right? Instead of thinking, oh, I need to go research who I should work with on this or what I should buy, they already know who they trust on. You didn't post more content. You just stacked familiarity, right? If I can actually say that right. You reinforced the same message enough times that you became the obvious choice. That is the show up shortcut. It's not about being everywhere. It's about being clear, consistent, memorable in for what you are known for. Now, if you are listening to this and you feel like exhausted by your marketing right now, I want you to hear this really clearly because you are not behind. Don't beat yourself up about it, right? You're not being inconsistent. You are not failing. And even if you are being inconsistent, maybe now is the time to start, right? Like they say, there's no better time to start than right now today, okay? Because you're not failing. You're probably just overproducing and under reinforcing. You don't need a new platform. You don't need new content strategy. You definitely do not need to reinvent yourself. You need to decide, what do you want to be remembered for 6 months from now? And then let everything you create support that one thing. That's it. It's so simple. That's the whole ball game, okay? The truth is, being everywhere gets attention, but being remembered, that's what builds businesses. So here is your 1% action for today. I want you to answer this question. What is the one thing that you want to be known for 6 months from now? Not 3 things, not 5 things, just one thing. What's the lens you want everything to be filtered through? What is the phrase you want people to think of you when they think of you? Like, I sign off everything, let's grow your business together, right? Don't steal mine because that's mine. Come up with your own. Like, what is the one thing? What's the problem that you solve that you want to own in people's mind, right? Write it down. And here's the key. Look at your last 5 pieces of content. Did they all reinforce that one thing? If not, that's okay. That's actually perfect because now you know what to adjust moving forward. Your content doesn't have to be all the exact same topic, but it should all reinforce the same idea about who you are and how you help people. That's your 1% action for today. Do that today before creating any new content going forward. I appreciate you so much for being here with me today. Cheers to being remembered. Keep leaning into those tiny tweaks and stacking those 1% wins. Until next time, let's grow your business together.